alone, alone.
Throw your hands in the sky right now, 'cause it's going down.
Unfortunately for the rest of y'all, I'm
Zachary Tucci. We're in the film room of the lacrosse team here. This is where our team watches film and breaks down our games and practices. Every practice is recorded, so everything you do will be on the camera roll. You know, sometimes some people take it for granted because they're here so often, but I look at it every day and think it's a very beautiful place, and I'm happy to be here. I always wanted to go there as a young tyke, and fortunately I was able to follow my dreams. Freshman year wasn't bad. It was quite the experience. You know, you gotta get used to waking up early and practicing every day of the year. Definitely makes you think about the sport differently, and workouts are pretty intense. You know, it really turns into a job. 4 hours of lacrosse and lifting every day. It's kind of like a little school circuit in itself. Much more serious and committed, because in high school you really didn't have to do much besides maybe show up to practice for an hour and a half a day in season, and that was really the extent of it. So it's a whole different perspective in college.
Gotcha. And where'd you go to high school?
I went to Avon Old Farms. Going to an all-boys boarding school and specifically was an experience and a half, to say the least. So going to school with just guys, it was crazy because it takes the other sex out of the perspective. And not that really played into an account for me. It's just the classroom was a much less censored place and a lot more abstract and absurd things, I guess, could be said. And living with just teenage boys was definitely a trip as well. But one thing that was interesting, you actually lived with your teachers, which was a little weird, and they could also be your coaches. So somebody that's, for say, teaching you an English class could also be seeing you at night, checking you to make sure you're in your dorm for bed, and you're talking about who knows what. It's really, you have a relationship outside of them just being your teacher. I don't know.
You don't know where you practice
No.
every day.
I don't know the names of the fields. I know it's not a hooker field.
Okay. Would it be Finley Field?
Finley
Chance?
Field,
Oh,
there you go. You must be
there.
a soccer and lacrosse fan, huh? I'm from Bedford, New Hampshire, which is right over the Massachusetts border, so about 40 minutes outside of Boston. And New Hampshire's a good place. My parents just decided to send me into the prep school boarding school route, which I haven't looked back from because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it's a great place. Air's clean, lots of trees, environment is amazing there. You know, Lakes region is pretty nice. Go there pretty often. Yeah, so coming from an area that's pretty endowed by the outdoors, I would say fishing is something I really enjoy to do, and it's one of my favorite tasks for sure. I enjoy all facets of fishing, whether it be freshwater, fly fishing in freshwater, even fly fishing in saltwater. Also just typical deep sea fishing. I like all types, but specifically in New Hampshire, I most commonly partake in bass fishing. In the Lakes region, I go out, I have a kayak that has a little motor on the back of it, and I'll typically go out with a friend or two and we'll just kick it and go around fishing on the lakes. So the most exotic place I believe I've been fishing would probably be Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
For what, mahi-mahi or something?
No, actually, but that is a great species. I did catch some mahi-mahi this summer back in my trip to Miami, and in Puerto Rico I was actually fishing for tarpon, in which I did catch a few. Those can get bigger than 200 pounds, 6 feet long.
6
They're
feet.
quite big fish, and they don't really have much nutritional value or taste.
So you throw them back?
Yeah, it's very common sport fish. The biggest one I caught, I would say, was about 4 feet.
Zach, so we talked about you going to Puerto Rico. We talked about you going to Miami. Where's the coolest place in the world you've ever been?
Probably Miami. It's just honestly a different lifestyle down there. And fortunately, I was able to go to one of my buddy's places, very nice house and very nice family that lives around him. And he really just took me around. He asked me what I wanted to do. I'm like, hey, why don't we go fishing? So his dad called up their family charter, and he kind of just rolled up in a car, popped on their boat, and took us out, fished for mahi-mahi for the day, which was very fun. And anything you want, kind of like you ask for food, their maid makes it, and then you go out. It's pretty fun in Miami. It's a great place. My fun fact would be that I sell vintage antique toys. Young cherub. I was going through my dad's old items that he had. He had a myriad of old toys, and I kind of was going through and looking them up on eBay, seeing what had potential value. And I stumbled across certain things such as G.I. Joe figures and old Hot Wheel Redline cars is what the name goes by. And some of them were actually selling for values exceeding $60, $100, and I'm like, wow, if I just found these in my basement, why don't I try and go to more places that could potentially have this kind of stuff? And that's how I thought to go to yard sales and flea markets, and I kind of got this idea through this show, American Pickers, and that's when I started looking through the items that he had. And then from there, I just networked with people. I actually went and met with some people in San Francisco, and I started a prototype Hot Wheel Redline collection.
Pretty great stuff. Zach, thank you so much for taking the time.
It was very nice to meet you, Mr. O'Connell.